Kanao being aware and anticipating his next moves, Doma mocks her for not holding on to the sword and sticks it into the bridge near him. He tells the demon's slayer to come and get it, and deploys his blood demon art, scattering lotuses in her direction. Kanao forces herself to look through the incoming hail of ice to find an area of minimum damage, but sustains multiple cuts to her face. Suddenly, Inosuke smashes through the roof, announcing out of the blue that Lord Inosuke is coming through. Using beast breathing, fifth form, crazy cutting, he destroys the incoming wave of ice shards, saving Kanao. He thanks the Kasugai Crow for leading him to the right room. Inosuke is looking intently at Doma's eyes and, enthusiastically realizing he is the Upper Moon too, declares he will defeat him and finally become a Hashira. Doma mentions that he isn't hiding his identity as Upper Moon too. Inosuke sees the injured Kanao and warns her that Shinobu will get angry at seeing her condition. When Kanao doesn't respond and becomes upset, Inosuke is left completely stunned into silence. Doma overhears him and mentions that Shinobu will live forever inside him, as that's how everyone he eats gets saved. Inosuke is left completely shocked as he remembers the memory where Shinobu Pinky promised him not to remove the bandage from his injured hand. Inosuke angrily declares that he will gnaw Doma to shreds and charges towards him, despite Kanao warning him not to inhale the cold air Doma creates. Using beast breathing, fourth form, slice and dice, Inosuke slashes at Doma. At the same time, the demon comments on his messed up technique, noticing his chipped blades and unorthodox fighting style. When Doma attempts to slash Inosuke's neck, Inosuke flips back and deflects the fan with his feet, earning a compliment from the Upper Moon for his flexibility and intriguing mask. Inosuke lands next to Kanao and presents her with her blade, stolen from the unaware Doma. Doma comments that the demon slayer is fast and grows more ice to attack, only for Inosuke to deflect them back and kick him in the stomach, knocking him away. Inosuke charges forward and readies a slash. Doma comments that the attack is far from the sword's range, so when the boar-headed figure swings, he becomes completely and utterly shocked that the attack had managed to reach him and slash him across his eyes. Inosuke had used beast breathing, ninth form, extending bendy slash, dislocating the joints of his arms to extend his range. He relocates the bones of his arm but is angered that the new attack's inaccuracy made him miss Doma's head. Kanao is in complete shock. Doma is left amused at his unusual opponent, and comments that throughout his own life, he had never met a fighter like him. Inosuke takes the compliment, and says that it's because the other riffraff are losers and nothing compared to him. But while Inosuke is talking, his mask instantly appears off his face, surprising him and shocking Kanao. In that moment, Doma had stolen it without either demon's slayer noticing and comments that the boar skin is quite old. As Inosuke angrily demands his boar mask back, Doma suddenly responds that he knows he has seen Inosuke's face somewhere before. Doma asks if he and Inosuke had met in the past, causing Inosuke to get angry and retort at his statement, demanding him to hand his mask back. However, Doma is sure that they have met and that he knows him from somewhere. Inosuke responds again that he has not met Doma before. Kanao tries to calm Inosuke down, stating that Doma is spouting random nonsense. Doma becomes surprised and offended, stating his only saving grace is his seriousness and long clear memory, even during his human years. With that, Doma pierces his own skull with his finger. Kanao and Inosuke become shocked and disgusted. Doma tries to remember where he saw Inosuke's face until he reaches a particular memory, and retells it to the two. 15 years ago, there was a young woman with a baby, roughly 17 to 18 years of age. She was abused by her husband and mother-in-law daily, and encountered Doma's Paradise Faith cult. She had no siblings or parents, and had no place else to go. When Doma first met her, her face was severely swollen from the beatings, commenting that it was pretty rough even to him. The woman was even partially blind, but when he touched her face, it went back to normal. She was so beautiful it left an everlasting impression on the even apathetic Doma. He mentions she had the same face as Inosuke, and concludes that it must have been his mother. Inosuke says that he has no mother and was raised by boars, to which Doma replies that he's human, so a human must have given birth to him. Inosuke charges forward without listening and releases beast breathing, 6th form. Kanao, concerned, watches as Doma states this encounter is a miracle and simultaneously slashes Inosuke's chest twice, creating an X-like mark. He quickly summons more ice and knocks both demon slayers into the cult room's pond. As Kanao urges Inosuke to calm down, Doma continues his story. He says that he had no intention of eating the woman, as having someone as beautiful as her next to him felt pretty good, though he considered her unintelligent. She was talented at singing, continually singing a pinky promise lullaby to her baby. Doma mentions that she sang with different lyrics each time, and adds that this song soon became a village song. Inosuke realizes that the pinky promise song was not because of Shinobu. Doma says that he purely planned on letting her live her life but learned that although she wasn't particularly smart, the woman named Kodoa was sharp. She soon learned that Doma devoured the followers of the cult, and ended up confronting him for his lies and fleeing the temple. Kodoa apologizes to Inosuke, cursing herself for continually making mistakes, even going the wrong way after she left the temple. All the while, she repeatedly kept saying she was sorry. She became lost in the forest and, unable to find the village, was cornered at a cliff's edge. She apologizes once more to Inosuke before dropping him off the cliff into the water. Doma kills her shortly after this. He believed the baby would have definitely died from the drop off the cliff, and cried at how sad the situation had become. Inosuke suddenly figures out that she was killed and that Doma had eaten her to the very bone. He notes that if she had gone to her husband, he would have continued to beat her, and if she was alone by herself on the road, she would have ended up dead as well. Doma mocks Kodoa's life for being so unfortunate, asking if there was ever a happy moment in it, and calling her existence pointless. Kanao furiously tells him to shut up as Inosuke grabs his fallen swords from the water. He remembers his mother's love for him. Doma comments that it was truly a miracle meeting Inosuke here, which fills Inosuke with more rage. He declares that the demon who killed his mother and his friends is standing right before his eyes. Inosuke stands back up and thanks Doma for letting him remember everything, with a voice that he won't only cut off Doma's head now. He takes a stance and readies to fight Doma, declaring that he's going to show him what hell is truly like. Doma tells Inosuke that although he was raised by boars and knows his way with words, he is still mistaken. The demon claims that heaven and hell don't exist and that they are figments of human fantasies to him. Humans who live righteously suffer tragedies while the evil live free to do whatever they want, adding that since divine punishment doesn't exist, mentally weak people believe the evil go to hell upon their deaths. He tells them that they keep this belief deep in their minds and calls humans pitiful. Inosuke screams out that he'll instead create a hell for Doma as he charges, telling Doma to stop talking about his mother's life as unfortunate. Doma retaliates with his blood demon art, Freezing Cloud, and Inosuke uses beast breathing, 10th Fang, whirling fangs, rotating his blades to disperse the icy cloud. Kanao attempts to attack Doma from behind. Doma anticipates Kanao's swipe at his neck, though she parries the fan, his swipe still knocks her into the water. Doma clings to the roof, causing Inosuke to yell for him to come down and face him. Doma tells them that Akaza is defeated and he no longer has time, instead creating ice dolls to fight the demon slayers as they land. Inosuke and Kanao are confused but soon shocked when the dolls use scattering lotuses to fight them. Doma tells them the ice dolls are as powerful as him, leaving them to it as he departs, making Inosuke furious. Kanao tells him to focus on their battle as a doll uses frozen lotuses to slash Inosuke, forcing him back. Doma notices Inosuke isn't breathing in his fog, confusing him, as the dolls use cold white princesses to envelop the room with more fog. Inosuke becomes incensed as everything around him is freezing. Doma is intrigued by Inosuke as a fighter he has never faced before. He decides to force the demon slayers to use all their techniques, thinking the information would be useful in the future. As Kanao is forced to hold back another lotus vine onslaught, she hopes she and Inosuke can keep Doma inside the room with them for a little while longer. However, Doma immediately decides to create a fifth doll to kill the combatants quicker or face getting scolded. With that, he forges one with his fans and releases her. The doll immediately deploys wintry icicles to knock Kanao further back. Soon, Inosuke's arms get slashed by the icy vines, worrying Kanao as she tells him to hold out for just a while longer. She herself becomes overwhelmed by the continuous slashes of ice lotuses. Doma overhears her, and is confused about how they will survive any longer. Knowing his dolls will record anything during the battle, he decides to leave. But as Doma opens the door of the cult room, his face suddenly begins to melt, confusing him. He collapses to the floor. A flashback reveals Shinobu's belief that if she encountered Doma and Kanao happened to fight alongside her, she would need to be eaten first, shocking her younger sister. Kanao is pleased that she and her sister would fight the demon together, only for Shinobu to respond, telling her to abandon those thoughts. She explains that she knows an upper moon is as strong as 3 Hashira at minimum, and, according to their late sister Kai, the upper moon too is gluttonous with an obsession for eating women. Shinobu knows if the demon faces a Hashira with great abilities, a body in excellent condition, and as a woman, he would definitely eat her, worrying Kanao further. Shinobu tells Kanao that her body is currently highly concentrated with wisteria poison. When Kanao says she is also willing to go through the same thing, Shinobu tells her it is impossible to reach the level she is at, as she has been absorbing the poison for over a year now. Shinobu confesses that she was the first to do such a feat herself, unsure of the potential side effects in the future, and whether her plan would work on the upper moon, or even Miyazan. She states her sword has 50 milliliters of poison, but whatever demon consumes her would also consume 37 kilograms worth of poison, which is 70 times more dangerous. Doma collapses further from the effects of Shinobu's poison, his arm falling off, his bones beginning to melt, and his regeneration failing. He realizes he never felt the poison circulate through him until now. His ice dolls soon fracture and collapse as well. To Inosuke's confusion, Kanao realizes Shinobu's poison is working and they now have Doma cornered. Shinobu tells Kanao that she doesn't even know if her life's worth of expertise on poison would work on an upper moon demon. Kagaya Ubuyashiki himself had deemed it impossible but advised her to consult with a certain demon for further knowledge. Shinobu tells her sister that if the poisoning does start working, she must never let her guard down, adding that the only way to kill the upper moon is by severing his neck. She knows she will definitely weaken him but tells Kanao to deal the finishing blow. Back in the reality of the fight, Kanao becomes assured she will kill the upper moon too and resolves to not let Shinobu's life go to waste. As she and Inosuke converge on Doma, he summons his final technique, Blood Demon Art, Rime Water Lily Bodhisattva. The two are stunned by Doma's new threat as the giant ice figure slams down onto the cult's pond, sending Inosuke and Kanao flying back. Kanao realizes that if they are forced away from the fog, Doma will have time to recover, and if they enter the fog and inhale it, they will no longer be able to fight. However, she notices that despite the giant ice figure's immense power, it is still shoddy. Doma has lost all precision, and creating it was a last-ditch effort. Kanao decides to use her final technique and recalls her last moments with Shinobu. Shinobu had warned her that using the technique might blind her, as her eyeballs are delicate with very thin blood vessels and nerves. She had told Kanao not to endanger herself by using such a powerful technique. Kanao rejects the warning, asking why she should worry about her vision when Shinobu gave her own life. She declares that Shinobu was sweet and honorable, having wanted to protect her life with her own, and she wanted herself, Aoi, Kyo, Sui, and Naho to all go home together. Kanao activates flower breathing, final form, equinoctial vermilion eye, causing her eyes to flush full of blood and heightening her perception to an extraordinary level. The giant bodhisattva becomes slow in her eyes. She notices her protective coating around her eyeballs turning red and, in that moment, slices up the ice figure's hands to reach Doma. As she swings at Doma's decaying head, the bodhisattva turns back and blasts Kanao with icy fog, freezing her back and arm. Kanao's sword reaches Doma's neck, but she can no longer swing further due to her frozen arms. Inosuke, having been recently saved by Kanao, uses his new technique, sudden throwing strike, and hurls his blades at Doma. The swords connect with Kanao, who grips them and drives her blade through Doma's neck, decapitating him in that final moment. In complete disbelief, the powerful upper-rank demon Doma couldn't comprehend that his time had finally run out. Yet, he felt no fear of death, nor frustration at his defeat. As his life began to slip away, Doma's mind wandered back to his childhood. His father, much like Doma as a demon, had many devoted women followers. This led to his mother violently murdering his father. But for Doma, even that had meant nothing. All he had cared about was the unpleasant smell of the blood and the mess it created. It was then he realized that he had never felt any form of human emotion. Now, in his dying moments, Doma found himself in the realm of nothingness, a place where the dead linger before moving on to heaven or hell. There, he encountered Shinobu, the Hashira he had consumed. In an unusual turn, Doma questioned whether what he was feeling was true love, a sensation he had never known in life. Confessing this to her, he asked if she would join him in hell. Meanwhile, in the aftermath of the battle, Kanao fished Shinobu's hairpiece out of the icy pond. As she did, the spirits of both Shinobu and their eldest sister appeared to her in a fleeting moment of peace. They congratulated her on the victory, before disappearing forever, leaving Kanao with a bittersweet sense of closure. Thus, both Kanao and Inosuke's largest battle and greatest achievement had come to an emotional yet triumphant conclusion. If you liked my video, then consider subscribing my channel. Thank you.